Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program, our final show of September. Wake me up when September's gone, like Sunday. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
So many scripts waiting for you then, you have no idea. So be careful what you ask for.
Okay, well, we have the boss man, Andre, here being spicy as ever. How you doing?
I'm doing good. As you gotta be, it's the final working day, at least the official working day of the month. As you know, Tom, every day is a working day.
This is true. But this is one of those rare Octobers where we get a Friday the 13th and a Halloween in the same month. So it's one extra spooky October. So that starts Sunday, but this is the last show of the month. We have with us 2 Canadians. Why not? We have Script Doctor. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. And we also have Mr. Paul Chato, all dressed up and looking snazzy.
That's right. I believe someone has
a meeting.
Yeah, I believe you have an important meeting at a certain other stream.
Or has he got a court date for groping again?
Yeah. Well, one might lead to the other.
Oh yeah, that's right. He's on the big show tonight. That's right.
Yeah, I have to look.
Mr. Popularity over there.
I have to look good.
Yeah.
Let's see what you guys are talking about in the chat. We've got AF Watcher watching. Says, who from Marvel DCU is safe or possibly getting fired? Wow, this is a loaded question. DCEU, pretty much everybody but whoever James Gunn wants to keep around, which we'll get into shortly.
Yeah, that's one of our main topics. So we will get back into that topic. As for Marvel,
I guess Marvel, it depends on if you believe that Secret Wars stuff.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen there. I think that's going to depend on who they are going to hire as a James Gunn replacement. We do not know who, if there's going to be anyone, but there might be some changes there as well.
Well, I was talking about how after Secret Wars, everything's supposed to be reset or whatever.
Yeah, but first they have to lock down exactly what they're going to do with Secret Wars. And as of right now, in this moment, Secret Wars has, at the very least, officially no writer attached. So they might want to begin with figuring out what the hell do we do with Secret Wars.
I think we're in a very interesting time. I can't think of another era where studios really hated the movies they've either got on tap or pretty much done working on, and knowing they've got to twist their stomach muscles into knots to release them and just get through all the garbage they've created. I've never experienced anything like this before in my life. It's
Hollywood Constipation
thing.
It's never happened before. I mean, as they said in the great miniseries Chernobyl, we're dealing with something that's never happened on this planet before. Now, I granted Chernobyl was a tad more serious, But this particular thing with this takeover of Hollywood and what that has done to the content that suddenly has to be churned out, that particular thing has never happened before.
That is true. But I mean, as far as like where Hollywood has been in this place before, I think you could say at least a couple times in history, there's some comparable spots they were in.
There are compatible spots. There are.
And
but
basically, like you're
never
looking
to
at
this
like,
scale.
yeah, the late 60s going when Hollywood almost folded completely and was saved by, you know, the auteurs like Francis Ford Coppola and William Friedkin and all those guys. And then you had like there was a small portion, like I was saying, like in the early part of the 80s, there things kind of went bleak, especially like 83 was like a banner year for horrible films. But then we turned it all around with 84, and then things were great for like the next 10, 15 years, and then things kind of went down the hill again. And then they got a bit better. Now we're back where we are again. It ebbs and flows, but you're right. This is the first time it's because of a manufactured um
Push.
cause, I guess.
Yeah,
Or
some
push,
sort of
yeah.
push. I mean, I call it Hollywood constipation. They're so full of crap. They just need an enema or a laxative. Get it out, clean out the pipes, so to speak, and then start eating some nutritional food to
This
to
town
cheer.
needs an enema.
But
Yes.
No,
getting
it
them,
needs something else as well. It needs McCarthyism 2.0.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely some scrutiny with regards to why you're making the movie like this type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
well, I mean, certainly the guy who's done the creator, what his name, Gareth?
Oh, Gareth
Gareth
Edwards.
Edwards.
That guy's got some talent.
He
So,
does on the visual side of things. I haven't really been sold on his narrative choices though. Yeah.
but he's certainly a geek. I mean, I've been actually following the technical side of of the making of the movie. So, which I always did with Cameron and Lucas. I spent an awful lot of time immersing myself in what they were doing behind the scenes and the new techniques that they were bringing. That also happened with the Matrix, the first one.
Mhm.
You know, bullet time was a nice innovation in its era before it, you know, could be duplicated by computers. So
Yeah, that's when we got out of the 90s slump, yeah.
and so yeah, I've just, it's like they're making crap and they're reluctant to engage the audience. They just want to get the movies out, move on. Now,
It's
in
like
the case of
Asylum.
DC, you've got Gunn, who has presented a possible new renaissance, and they've got to get through Blue Beetle, Aquaman, and the Flash, which was horrible. It's really quite sad that they got to clear the deck before they can get to anything good. It's depressing.
It is, but that's what happens when you have a bunch of content that is the entertainment side of a cultural revolution, and that's what happens. And that situation is, it's obviously not new for the world, but you can argue it's new for Hollywood. Certainly to this extent.
I'm predicting 2030 will be great. That's what I'm predicting.
No, but the good news though.
I think we might get a peak before that, but yeah, I would say it'd be nice if the 30s were roaring instead of decline.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I will say, and this is something that needs reminding, that the last holdovers when it comes to woke right now is Disney.
Yep.
Because if you look at the rest of the movies this year, with the possible exception of some Warner stuff, it's been some pretty nice based, just really good movies. I would say that 2023 has been the best year for movies in certainly the last 5 years or something.
Yeah, it's almost like my prediction that 2024 is probably going to be the last decline of the woke is coming true.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Let's keep moving here. We got Hyperguyver 2 who says, Andre, Tom, Mikey, are you ready for the more Gila and the misandrous of the uterus from soy boy Kevin Crybaby Smith? At least we still have Conan. Yeah, well, we'll get into that a little bit, but Is there another trailer or just that
No,
clip?
it's the one that you showed me. It's like this clip
Okay.
for Masters of the Universe. We can get into it right away because there's really not so much to say
Yeah,
now.
there's really not much to say about it, to be
Yeah,
honest with you.
there's like a new clip for Masters of the Universe Revolution, which is the name of Masters of the Universe Revelation Season 2. And parts of it looks cool, and parts of it totally sucks, and that's just a clip. And we know what happened in the first season. Now, the beauty is that they should have had the chance to adjust a little bit to the feedback. But will they? I don't think so, because we saw how Kevin Smith was able to rationalize away all of the negative feedback from season 1. I did a whole video about it, just to very briefly recap. What he said in the trades is that first he thought, oh no, I screwed up. We all screwed up. We made the worst series ever. Let's all go end ourselves. That was when he had the correct reading of the situation. But then some handler got to him and said, oh, no. You've got it all wrong. You went to social media, and when you go to one negative review, you'll be fed another negative review, and then another, and that way you'll get like this fake news that everyone hates this series. No, just listen to what your friends in Hollywood says. We all love this. This was so beautiful and inclusive. Everyone loves this, apart from some weirdos online. And that then became what he bought, hook, line, and sinker. So he hasn't learned any feedback from the previous season. So no, I'm not looking forward to the new season. But we do have Conan, and as we've already said, the Conan comics are firing on all cylinders. So go check them out from Titan Comics. They are really tremendously good.
Yeah, I concur. I'm liking them so far.
And with
And the
that,
next
we
super
can.
chat is.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even say how I felt about it.
Well, go. How do you
We're
feel
waiting
about
for
it?
you then.
I mean, again, we have great looking animation. The action sequence we saw did not look bad. It actually had He-Man in it, but again, I feel like we're being baited and switched. Unless Kevin actually learned a lesson, which I highly doubt, especially after from what I heard about Clerks 3. I mean, at this point, I'm sure he's going to just double down on the stupid. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the show comes out and everybody's like, oh no, He-Man's actually finally central in his own show. Then I'll be like surprised. I mean, they did change the voice of Tila, which makes me wonder. I don't know if you guys remember this.
Sarah Michelle Gellar's not coming back?
No, what's her face who played Supergirl is going to be doing the voice.
Oh, Melissa Benoist.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder what happened there. I mean, I wonder if maybe they told her that her character was going to be pushed more to the back and she got pissed. Maybe. Otherwise, maybe it was just a conflict of scheduling. Who knows?
Or it was basically the idea, hey, we have He-Man and Tila in a love story. Let's actually get the guy's wife to come play because she's an actor too, so we can have some natural chemistry.
Could be. That, or I was wondering if they wanted a softer voice, perhaps. I don't know. It's been a while since we've discussed it, but other than that, unless he actually turns this thing around, I don't have any faith in it, and I'm not going to hold my breath, basically. But what we saw looked good, just like the first season did. It looked good. Nobody ever once said anything about how it looked, so unfortunately, that's the only positive thing I can say.
Yeah.
Exactly. We can say it looks good, and then it's all about what they do with the story.
Exactly. So let's keep moving here. We've got Action Com who says episode 468. Who do we appreciate? Midnight's Edge. Midnight's Edge. Yay! I didn't know we had cheerleaders.
Wait, are we
Oh,
468 or 463?
I don't know.
Oh,
Do we
well,
have uniforms?
I believe it's 463, but who are we to argue? I have to go and double check now. I do trust that ActionCom probably has a better count of that than I do before I double checked.
Then we got Zontar who says Milwaukee Mile IndyCar doubleheader race 1 will be Peacock exclusive and race 2 on USA. The sports streaming viability debate will end one way or another. Yeah. As I said, I've never questioned the viability. All I've said is once they have exclusive sports on streaming, that's when cable's dead. Because that's the one thing that's probably keeping most of these people hanging onto it like an umbilical cord. Because I know, because my dad's one of them. Randall Orser says an idea for a name for a Sunday show: The Continental.
Huh.
Mm.
Now, just getting back to the sports thing, one thing
Yeah.
that has not taken place on streaming, if I recall, is the bringing in TVOD. That will be interesting if they move to that, which I can't see them not doing. That's a transactional video on demand.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like the pay-per-views type of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pay-per-view.
Yep.
That hasn't happened on streaming yet, but I predict it will.
Oh yeah, I think they'll have exclusive events.
Well, you kind of have video on
especially.
demand already, technically, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, as
No, I
far as
mean, like, it
sports.
could even be a race. You want to watch the Talladega?
Yeah, as far as like
500?
sports, boxing, and all that kind of stuff, like
Yeah.
they used to. Yeah.
Yep. That I think is. I'm sure they're going to be bringing that in.
Excellent. And then we have Big Daddy MRI here, who sent us a super sticker. Let me see what it is. I think it's a box of popcorn.
I didn't get to see the first Continental. I was going to, but then.
Yeah, I was going to ask everybody. That's what I forgot. Did anybody get to watch that yet? I didn't get a chance.
No, not yet. I should have watched that over Ahsoka personally. At least.
No. Well, it's just one episode left of Ahsoka, so might as well.
That's one too many.
Oh, well, this is true.
Well, I'm not going to.
I'm actually having fun. It's so bad.
How do you end that? Ending to that last episode was the most boring ending I can think of you could ever possibly have.
Well, I think my thoughts on that overall, I think all the Star Wars, all the Marvel is suffering under the Disney dictum that you can't have violence. You can lose a bunch of NPCs, but no more hand cutting off, no more real consequences ever.
Of stabbings.
Yeah, stabbing. Yes, exactly right. And you can't have Ezra screaming at Sabina for, giving up the world that he sacrificed himself to save. Like, I would be yelling at that bitch. What the fuck were you doing? I locked myself back here with Thrawn.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I sacrificed myself, bitch. Like, fuck. Jesus.
You're compromising the galaxy because you want a hug?
Yeah.
You just ruined my whole sacrifice.
Paul needs to stop hanging around me. He's getting a potty mouth.
No, this was in context.
Oh,
I don't do it randomly. You know that.
Well, I do.
Anyways, yeah, sorry for diving back into Ahsoka, but yeah. To me, it's so bad. I'm actually looking forward to the last episode.
And I didn't even watch it.
It's terrible.
Well, you don't have to watch it. You hear what happened from us, so it's
right.
I get
PTSD just by listening to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, watching Obi-Wan was painful. That was just full up.
I would say Obi-Wan was worse.
That was like watching a funeral.
In a weird way, yeah.
You slowly watched one of your heroes die on screen. It was just like
Ahsoka is a lot like watching your kid on stage, doing a really crappy, musical. But
or a talent show act.
It's a talent.
So notice the Chato's kids, if you're listening, now you know what you really felt of that time when you were on stage.
My kids went to Waldorf. They did some amazing plays. Like every year the kids did a play, and when the 3-year-olds are doing a Viking saga, it brings a tear to your eye, let me tell you. Not the grade
actually adorable.
Grade 3s, not the 3-year-olds. That would be impressive if 3-year-olds could do a Viking saga.
Yeah, if I saw 3-year-olds doing a Viking saga, I'd be like, that is adorable.
I meant the grade 3s.
The grade 3. So that's what
well, they could sing the song of or the traditional like the skaldic poetry of the Long Serpent. We have it to this day. It is something that 3-year-old can perform.
They did something along those lines. It could have been. I didn't understand what they were singing, but it was great. It was really good. Very, very Beowulf.
Yeah. That sounds about right. But we have more super chats, so let's move
Let's
on. We
do
have
it.
topics to cover as well.
Super those chats.
Yes, indeed. We have the Walt Man here who says, last time, or script back here yet?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I know you said BR base, so I just want to make
Yep.
sure. Because, all right, last time I'll bring it up. But Script Doctor, did you write last week's episode of Canadian Parliament? That was funny.
Funny is not how I would describe it.
I
No.
believe tragic comic. Is that
Yeah,
how
it's a
you would
tragic
describe
comedy.
Yeah, well, you can. Yes, I guess tragic comedy would be definitely one thing. Very absurd. I specifically noticed when the Speaker of the House was reading what he read, and he paused because his mind was saying, "What? Something's not right here."
Yep.
But instead of doing the right thing and being like stopping, he just pushed through. And then, of course, you've got the blame game accusations that follow on the following days, which were that was hysterical to watch because I'm like, you all failed, you all failed egregiously. Yeah, that's not cool.
I'd watch your movie adaptation of that event.
I could probably have some fun with that.
That would be fun. That would be worth it.
In the video I did this morning, I tried to be reasonable as opposed to just
Why?
because I'm a reasonable person.
Well, that's more than you can say about the Parliament.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into it.
Yeah,
here,
because
but
they
I
like
mean,
Yahtzees.
again, war is messy and not as clean cut as everybody wants to make it out to be. I mean, good guys become bad guys are good. I mean, you just don't know. I remember when I was a kid and I saw All Quiet on the Western Front, and I was completely shocked by the notion that the Germans and the Allies actually had a moment of respite from killing each other. That was an amazing story. It made, quote unquote, the enemy human, which was not the most common thing to do, especially during war propaganda, right?
Yep.
You don't humanize the enemy, but that one, wait a second, they're people. It was a very powerful movie. I never read the book though.
Yep. So yeah, we have a movie request for you, Script Doctor, and with that, let's move on because we have
I'll
some
add it
more.
to the bucket that I've accumulated over the course of the strike.
And that is actually let's unless we have a super chat that will seg us to that, let's get into that. Oh yeah, we'll do this one. Adam says, for 2,490 Hungarian florins, I want my daily dose of Tom Connors. Please stop when ready. Yeah, we've started now. And you even got some Tom Connors in Paul. How amazing is that? That's
now, I just want to correct you.
It's phrasing.
There's no L. It's forint. No Florence. It's not a forint.
Okay.
If that's what you said, but it's forint.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you regardless.
I remember when we were there in 72 and we had to smuggle the forints out, and there was a bank in Vienna that would exchange them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not for much, but I mean, you went in with stuff and then you sold calculators, watches, jeans, things like that before you left, and then got bags of forints when you left.
Yeah. And we'll do a couple of more before we get into the next topic.
All the good
here.
old days.
ActionCom, he has a question for you, Chato. He wonders, as a Yinzer, how dare you dress better than their senator there in Yinzerland, which of course would be Lurch, who takes Casual Friday to a whole new level. So yeah, how dare you dress better than a U.S. senator?
I think they've now put a ruling in that there are dress codes.
I thought they did the opposite. I thought that you can now show up in your robe specifically so that Lurch can show up in his
sweatpants,
underwear to show off
hoodie.
his ridiculous dick legs.
Well, I'm not an American senator, so I don't have to worry.
Yeah, no, that's true. You have to be somewhere far more prestigious, namely the Friday Night Times.
I'm waiting till I'm senile and I'm in a dribble cup, and then I'm going to run. That seems to be popular.
Looking at some of the examples, yeah, you'd have every chance. And Pete and Kat has been a member for 11 months and wonders, have you seen the trailer for The Argyle? Are you excited for it? And what's your buzz about the creator? As
I'm
for
not a big
art,
fan
I
of.
just saw the trailer now before the show. I think it looks cool.
I'm not a
Thanks
big
for
fan of
catching up to me.
sweaters.
Yeah. Thanks for catching up to me, guys. I brought up this movie
He's been bringing it up for a year now.
for over a year now because it was supposed to come out in April of this year. And now you guys finally got to see a trailer for it. And looks like there's a lot of positivity running behind it, which is cool because I like Matthew Vaughn's stuff. It's he did X-Men First Class. He did the Kingsman movies. Granted, the Golden Circle is not one of the better of those, but yeah, he makes fun films, and I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah. And as for the creator, it looks all right, but I'm personally not terribly excited about seeing it. Like, maybe I see it and I'm blown away, but it kind of is like, yeah, that looks cool, but going to see it comes across as something.
Would have been
more.
nice to have a name person in the lead. The lead does not turn me on.
Oh, and the creator? Yeah, I hear you.
I am. Oh, really? Okay.
What?
I just, yeah.
That sums up our thoughts on those. Unless you want to have anything you want to add, Tom?
I like turtles.
Argyle looks fun. Looks, you know what? People like Henry Cavill, and there's even a giant Henry Cavill statue promotional thing because it's the book. I mean, the one thing, it's romancing the stone on Speed
with Sam Rockwell and Bryce Dallas Howard, which I think is an interesting pairing. I'm curious to see how that plays out because I think that'll be fantastic.
Dua Lipa's muscular legs looked horrible. I'm kidding.
I don't know. All I had to say was my joke, and it got stepped all over.
Oh.
I just said I'm not a fan of sweaters.
What about socks?
Those two.
You need a little flag on your profile there that when you're telling a joke, warn us.
Kind of like you.
Mine are very clearly telegraphed, Tom.
No, that's
I am a professional.
That has yet to be seen. You claim you get paid for this, but we haven't seen a check yet.
Oh, we have seen the album covers, and they're glorious.
This is true. This is true. I will give him that.
Yeah.
Hey, watch my video today. There's a musical bit in it.
He's supposed to send me those files a long time ago and still.
Oh, I keep forgetting. Oh well.
Well, I keep forgetting we're not in love anymore.
But yeah, let's get into the topics here. Last call with Troy Pacelli says for $5. The studios suffer from chronic sunk cost fallacy. Can't abandon a course of action because they have invested too heavily in it. But following the strikes, there may be some changes because what I am hearing, what we see many are now discovering is that some of the writers, maybe more writers than we imagine, won't have any jobs to go back to. Maybe they spent a little bit too much time on the picket lines and maybe a little bit too little time actually writing when they had downtime. What say you, script doctor, to these rumors? Could there be something to that? Will there be less jobs for writers now when you have like guaranteed writers' rooms?
Well, this is one of the things that I didn't like with regards to the guaranteed writers' room because you have compelled hiring, but it looks like the certain members in the union on the negotiating committee have turned that inside out a little bit for the benefit of writers that know how to actually finish a script and maybe not push too much ideology in there. Don't get me wrong, there's definitely some veteran writers out there that are drinking the Kool-Aid, but the vast majority of them, of the ones that do preach this, are younger. And I have been learning through my colleagues that a lot of them have actually spent more time striking and spending time on social media than actually expanding their portfolio of scripts to pitch when the strike is over. I was doing a lot of writing while the strike was on. And in fact, I even just came up with a new feature film idea last night that I've started outlining already. And this would be number 5. So I basically averaged about 1.5 scripts a month during the strike, which is pretty good turnout for a writer and pretty average for an experienced one. And yeah, so basically what we're seeing here from the youngins is there's going to be possibly less opportunities for them, especially in something like the pre-greenlit or mini rooms. And that comes down to two factors that I can think of right now. The first one is that the current MBA clearly defines that a showrunner has to be a union writer. So it can't be an internal executive producer like a Kevin Feige. It also gives them a bit more power into who they select for the writing positions in the minimum staffing mini rooms. And it also says that whoever they select has to be approved by the company, or the showrunner has to argue for them to be involved. Now, with regards to those rooms, you have showrunners that would only, a real showrunner, a good showrunner, is only going to hire the writers that they can get value out of in their room, which means that if you are a diversity hire and that's all you've got going on, you are of no value to a showrunner, which means you are not going to get your quote unquote guaranteed hire over there. And I think that's a good thing. The other aspect with regards to the contract pertaining to mini rooms is that the compelled hiring has now increased. The compelled hiring and the extended time frame for which they have to work on the show, which is like a minimum of 10 weeks, that essentially turns the mini room into something more expensive than the traditional model of developing a pilot, producing the pilot to be screened before an audience test to see whether or not it's actually going to be good, and then giving it the green light to go into an actual series order. The mini room basically tries to force a hit show within a 6 episode or 8 episode or 10 episode structure, get it all written before any sort of film is any of it is filmed, and then push it out there. And I was talking to Andre before the show. You could take a look at a pilot like Ahsoka and say to yourself, okay, that's a show that was done in a mini room. It was done by one writer, Dave Filoni. And if you put that through the pilot test, there's no way it would have been picked up for the remainder of the episodes. And that's a good thing. You don't want that. So right now it looks like mini rooms are kind of being, for the moment, they'll be kind of priced out on a budget side of things from the studios, because they'd say it's more lucrative and less risk for them to actually go back to shooting a pilot, testing it, and then determining whether it's going to be given a series order, as opposed to these building a show in a limited amount of time and then just pumping it out for you to be stuck with it and can't control or develop or change it based on audience reception. And when you have those types of orders, and you have the showrunner now being in charge of it and picking the writers they want to work with and being able to argue why they need it for the benefit of the show, you then basically exclude any of the writers in town that are not going to be of value to you. And I think everybody listening and gentlemen with me on the panel know those types of writers are not going to be lasting in this industry because they're not qualified.
There you go.
And I think that's great. I'm thinking it's great that there'll be less jobs for them, because that gives me a better chance for having more job opportunities.
Also, not only does it give you more opportunities, it gives our all of us better entertainment. Because let's be faced, it, a big part of the problem that we've had, especially with the MCU as of late, isn't just that the producers behind the scenes have gone nuts. It is also that the writing rooms are staffed with incompetence and general assorted activists, many of whom who would be these younglings, if you will, that come in not through merit but through other means. And
Well,
what
yeah,
they have
if
produced is a bunch of bullshit.
if it's not through merit, they've done something that's made them hot in the moment. And then you have basically the studios clamoring at them to work for them for writing. They get they overbook themselves or overstretch themselves, and then they end up becoming terrible because they've signed 9 deals that are due over the next year and a half or 2 years to turn in, trying to write 9 feature films in 2 years is a really difficult thing to do, especially if they're going to be maintaining quality. And then on top of that, you're putting them out there, you're getting notes back, you're going back and forth, you're dividing a lot of your time. This is the big red flag I pointed out, especially with Dave Callahan, good friend of the show, in regards to the fact that he's written Wonder Woman 84, Zombieland 2, Mortal Kombat 1, and Shang-Chi. All those 4 movies alone came out within a year of each other, and they're all terrible. And he was a hot ticket item writer for the studios. Now, if we're going to have a little bit less, especially on the television side of things, where they're not going to be producing as many shows, that has a benefit because it's getting more into quality over quantity. And then on top of that, maybe there's a chance that you guys out there in the audience will actually start seeing other shows that are not being pushed solely by Disney. And also some of the other networks. That would be a good thing, because there's probably a lot out there that you haven't seen yet that might actually be of your fancy.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So yes,
Paul,
it backfired against the woke. That's great.
It's to me, that's kind of like ironic, because it's like those who are like most the strongest foot soldiers of the union, those that would have been there picketing every single day, going on about solidarity and stuff like that, they are now the ones who haven't done anything to show their worth, and they're the ones who aren't going to be hired, I would imagine. I mean, I would think that for any kind of prospective job right now, they're going to say, okay, let's see what you've done the last 6 months.
Yes.
I've been picketing. Well, that's not good enough. We have 10 others that actually have like 3, 4, 5 scripts. So what have you done? Picketing. Okay, don't call us, we'll call you.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if a number of members of the current WGA board that were expecting this to lead to hiring of those types of hires are disappointed to learn about this. However, they probably are also prominent enough in the industry to get a show here and there, so they will be, of course, hiring that. So you'll most likely have those types of shows peppered throughout still for a little bit until. Well, here's the other part too. Because of the new residual metric, the more money you get comes based on the fact that you have to attain 20% of the subscriber viewership or more in order for you to make the most amount of money. So if you care about making money as a writer, that means you have to make a good show. And you will soon see that certain habits, such as the stuff that we can point to Disney and Disney doing, is not going to be very profitable, and it will be a difficult time for some of those writers that get those opportunities to learn that lesson, and it will be a difficult time for us as an audience being exposed to those shows, and then of course turning them off and trying to find something else. And that's a good thing. It's basically like their desire to want more money based on those residuals has forced them to basically say, we actually have to do good job now, and I think that's great. So it looks to me that irony has prevailed in regards to the quality of the work is now predicated on the merit of the show and how well that appeals to an audience and gains viewership. And I think that's a good thing for everybody. That's not going to be an overnight thing for you guys. So I'm sorry you're going to have to struggle through some terrible stuff for the next little bit. But once I think enough of the industry learns that rule, everyone else will start benefiting from it, at least on the entertainment side of things.
Yeah, that sounds very positive.
Yeah,
that's the best we could possibly hope for. So
the worst case scenario would be if the studios said, we still don't want these shows to make money for whatever reason. I don't know why they would say that, but if they did, that will delay things. But at the same time, whoever's saying that in the studio has to answer to the studio heads and to the investors, like, hey, why aren't we making any money when these other guys are? Why aren't you able to get 22% viewership like this show over on Max is getting, or the show on or one of the Taylor Sheridan shows on Paramount Plus? Like, give me something of that, or get the heck out of my office. I mean, those will be the byproducts eventually, hopefully. Be nice.
Yeah, because that's another thing here. Because there's plenty reports now of a contraction within the industry. there's going to be fewer shows, fewer episodes, but that should also mean greater quality.
Yeah, it should be. Just have to wait and see right now. It's now the ball is in their court, right? So
yeah. Well, time, like Grand Admiral Thrawn said, is on our side, which was a pretty shitty excuse, but it's the best we have. So yeah, and with that, let's move on. Mara Carlisle wonders, Paul, what color code is that green behind you?
Are you talking about my green screen?
Oh, maybe.
I would assume so.
It's well, it's standard green screen, but I use a cloth rather than paper. Gives me more flexibility.
So standard green screen cloth.
I can't remember what the number is. There used to be a number for it. I remember when working with the CBC, you'd go down to this union paint place that sold you unionized paint that was ridiculously expensive for the time. I mean, I remember the paint per gallon was ridiculous, and then you'd paint a flat using the something green, whatever it was.
There's this you could get afterwards. There used to be an industry service supply shop that was actually, it was a surplus store. You could get all stuff. You get gels, green screen paint, and various gear for like pennies on the dollar. And then that closed down, I think, in 2017.
Well, no wonder
Yeah.
they were selling it too cheaply.
Well, I mean, it'd been in operation for like 15 years, but I think there was a decline in television productions around that time in Toronto, and it just unfortunately was not enough for them to sustain themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I wish I could tell you.
Then Kukwa4 says for $5, another one bites the dust. Castlevania Nocturne went more woke than the last series. I shouldn't be surprised, but still disappointed nonetheless.
Yeah, I heard that happened. And I went, wow. When they're compromising the anime, you know, things are bad. But it's going to turn around. I think all this woke stuff is going to collapse under its own ridiculous weight.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. Let us hope so. And King Sing Sting says for $13.99 Canadian dollars, is it just me, or isn't it weird how Disney simultaneously embraces far left ideology, but still maintains a conservative viewpoint on violence, nudity, and banned language? I'm not so sure that all of those belong in the left-right brackets that you might think. But if one is extreme in one thing, one can easily be extreme in all things. How about that?
Yeah, but I mean, it is kind of fascinating that they're pushing stuff that is weird, and then when it comes to violence, it's like, no, we got to cut back on that. And if it comes to nudity, it's like, nope, not even a chance. And bad language, oh, forget about it. It's like that is pretty very much a conservative or restrictive viewpoint, or also a censorious viewpoint.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do get the irony that King Sting is putting out here. Of course, I also wouldn't want to see far left ideology that embraces nudity, violence, and bad language either, because that would be crazy also, right?
Well, you do have that, though. Just look at the pride parades.
Yeah, but not by Disney.
I don't really want to, but yeah, I mean, not from Disney, of course, but yeah, in general. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I'm writing a bit on the one thing I don't get about this entire present day movement, especially as it's displayed by drag queen story time, is how come they don't have fashion designer story time? Why is everything about this entire rainbow movement about the worst looking clown fest things possible? Yet the lesbian and gay community has given us some of the most incredible fashions ever, like Versace, Galliano,
Dolce and Gabbana.
yeah, maybe
Yeah,
not
but
Dolce
only
and
one
Gabbana.
of those are the most
Only one of
important
those, yeah.
social cause of our time.
Armani. How come there isn't Armani story time, where someone is in a really impeccable suit reading stories to kids? Anyway, I'm mulling that bit around in my head. I don't have it fully formed, but it's the one component of the LGB world that has that has been completely left out. It has been left out of this entire
Yeah.
nonsense.
Essentially, taste.
Yeah, and I used the word taste. What happened to taste?
Yeah.
So anyways, I think it's a funny idea. Like I said, I don't have it fully formed, but there is something to that.
Well, let's keep moving along here. We got Dr. Longdongler who sends in a thumbs up. Thank you so much for that. Pilgrim Media says, Iger, I can't answer that. My lawyer, Saul Goodman. Playtrack sends a super sticker. Just says super sticker.
Cool.
What is it?
Or maybe he just says super sticker.
That's what I'm wondering. That's what it looks like.
Okay, then
I think that was what it was.
there's the joke.
I think so. DCV Titan says, yeah, everybody blaming Rhoda to deflect from the fact that these motherfuckers gave not one but two standing ovations. All of Parliament should resign. Oh yeah, you're still on.
Yes, I would love an emergency
Yeah.
election right now.
Yeah. Paulus Plain says, last night on the Critical Drinker Super Chat, the origin film of James Bond. James Bond was a Royal Naval Reserve commander. That was his past job: surface fleet, fleet air arm, aircraft carrier pilot, submersive submarine service. I think he's asking. I have no idea because I'm not a Bond fanatic.
I did not catch that show, so I can't provide clarification on all of these questions.
Unless anybody's read the original novels, perhaps.
Well, when I read the novels, he was a naval officer with the rank of commander.
There's your answer, I believe. We got Bucky Cat here who says Disney Plus is going to crack down on password sharing. Was in the Daily Mail. Yeah, I noticed that. I haven't checked mine yet because I get mine for free for my kid. Matthew W says, rest in peace, Michael Gambon and David McCullum. Both lost this week. Yeah, I saw that. It's some sad news. Setlick 3 Gaming says, live long and prosper, gentlemen. Thank you so much. And a very generous super chat there.
Greetings and thank you, and live long and prosper.
Indeed. Stone Gaspin says, just bought a ticket for October 19th, Killers of the Flower Moon. We'll be reading nonfiction book beforehand. How excited are you and how well will it do? Well, this is actually one that's coming to my little podunk theater, so I might actually go see it. Of course, everybody who knows Scorsese's in my top 10 directors list anyway, probably top 5. So, yeah.
It's got a good cast, so...
He made me a Leo fan. Like, I could not stand Leo for years, and it's like, well, I'm just gonna have to deal with it because my two of my favorite directors keep using him. So, and he kind of, and believe it or not, it was a Spielberg movie that made me warm up to him. It was Catch Me If You Can. Because before that, I just couldn't stand him. Just couldn't. But anyway, yeah, looking forward to that. How about you guys, Andre? Paul?
I'll let you watch it and warn me first.
Not me.
Okay. Pilgrim says a script doctor and a grizzly bear walk into a bar. Oh, I don't know what the punchline is, but I don't know if I want to find out. ActionCom says, while decentralization has value.
Oh no, the punchline is, I've got a screenplay. Can you read it?
And the bear eats him.
No, the bear tells me. That's usually the joke. Because that's the thing. Every time you say you're a writer, someone's like, "Oh, I got a story."
Yeah. And I'll share half the story idea with you.
Or oh god.
Yeah, or whatever that one. Yeah.
This is why I read books.
Unless it's Nunchuckosaurus, you know that's bullshit, right?
Yes.
I mean, Nunchuckosaurus is gold.
I watched a interview with Woody Allen and Dick Cavett, and Woody Allen talked about how he does not watch other comedians or contemporary comedies just in case he copied them. He'll watch Eisenstein or Ingmar Bergman, things like that, but he just didn't want to copy anybody's stuff. So,
Yep. I'm the
Did I
opposite. I'll watch
finish?
everything, and I just put it on my list of don't do that.
Yeah.
there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
Actually, did I read this one? I don't think so.
No.
ActionCom says, while decentralization has value, is there any chance the unions will adopt leaders who can play the corporate game plan, maybe war game things out?
God, I hope not. That would be horrible.
I mean, union leadership for the WGA has been not ideal for the last 20 odd years. So it is what it is. You just gotta kind of have to push through. They had an election in the midst of the strike, which kind of retained their positions again. I think there's another one in a year's time or so. Might be wrong on that. I'll have to double check. But I do know that there are some veteran writers who are kind of on the edge of wanting to retire that might want to jump in to run for union and get things sorted out over there. We'll have to wait and see.
Indeed. And then we've got one more here for now. Pinochet says, if you can't point out the weakest player in a poker game, it's you. Just like in poker, in all things, it's up to the workers to police their own. Yeah, that's a fair assessment in a sense. But yeah, let's wrap up the strike talk so we can move on to other things.
Great.
Was there anything else that we needed to cover on that part, Andre, that we haven't touched on yet?
No, I believe we have wrapped it up.
Yeah, I think at this point, we just have to wait and see where the actors fall, as far as how long it's going to take for them to come to some kind of resolution, and then we got to worry about IATSE after that. But as I've said, all these guys will come back to work just in time for the Christmas break.
Most likely. I mean, SAG is meeting on Monday. We'll see if they get 4 days of straight negotiations. And hopefully a resolution will be done because, I think they want to try and get stuff done before Thanksgiving and before the Christmas holiday.
Yep.
And
so they can take a break.
And if they listen, if they get good deals when it comes to AI with regards to their likeness and rights, that's going to have a positive ripple effect for IATSE when they go to the negotiating table, because they don't want to be replaced by artificial intelligence either. Because a lot of the stuff that they build and they maintain and whatnot can be fabricated digitally. And I don't want those guys to lose their jobs.
Yeah. But I still find it ironic that they're going to get everything all wrapped up just in time to go on break. Yeah. And if I was David Zaslav, I'd be like, y'all ain't getting a Christmas break. You had your fucking Christmas break. I'd be the asshole. I'd be like, y'all gonna work through Christmas now. Because we got shit to get done. You got 6 months of work to catch up on.
I know a lot of actors that have no problem with that.
Because like when you guys shut down for Christmas, it's basically like you said, from Thanksgiving till after the first of the year.
Yeah, I know. It's where a lot of us, I mean, it's where I do a lot extra writing too, but it's also kind of boring because it's like, I got to spend time with my family. Jeez.
Well, that being said, I mean, it's just,
That's just me. I know other people.
I know. I just find it ironic that that's what's going to, because I think if I remember right, isn't that the way it happened last time too? Is the guys happened to get everything in order just in time for the Christmas break? I think it was.
No, it was after. We
was it after? Okay.
Yeah, it went from November into February. So yeah, the Christmas break already occurred.
All right. Well, anyhow, let's move on from there. James Gunn is really confusing the fuck out of people now. We talked a little bit about this last night, Andre. But the basics are he's once again reconfirming everything we've been hearing from the start, or at least not from the start, but the crazy rumors we've been hearing for a while, though. And that is that Peacemaker is still going to be canon. His Creature Commandos is supposed to be setting up the DCEU. And of course, Superman is where things start. He also said that Jolo is coming back at some point. But at this point, I mean, everybody's just kind of confused. Which is it? Are you going to completely reboot? Or is it just your stuff is canon? And I guess we got to give it to you, Andre. You kind of predicted that he would keep his stuff canon. And I got to say, just about everybody across the board says that's the dumbest shit you ever could do.
Yep.
Why don't just recast everybody in some different role?
But basically, this has been my reading of what he's been saying all along, because you say that it's more confusing, and I get that. If one thought that he was going to do a hard reboot of everything, but to me, he's not confusing anything. He's being perfectly consistent. And he is now just adding some more detail to what he has been saying all along. But he's always been saying the same thing. And that is what I've been basically what I got out of it like 5 statements ago, just weeks after he took over, was that, oh, no, not weeks, but around Christmas of last year, the first time he spoke. What I got from it then, and what has only been reinforced until now, is that he's largely going to keep his own stuff. Maybe some select bits of other stuff, but mostly his own stuff that stays, and everything
Big
else
mistake.
is what's going to get rebooted. And yeah, you've said this, and so has many others. But that is the direction he's going. So
Because it's going to
Peacemaker,
confuse
that's it.
everybody. This is where I disagree with you, where you say it's not going to be confusing. No, it is going to confuse.
Well, I
the
haven't said
general
it's not going to
audience.
be confusing. I've only
Be-
said that I understand what he's saying. I understand why others are going to be confused.
Because
by
I'm
it.
also hearing that Margot Robbie's in talks to sign on for 3 more.
That makes perfect
appearances.
sense. That's coincidence, because what that means is that everything surrounded to Peacemaker and the sphere around him,
Well,
all of that is canon and
I
happens.
think Margot
This
Robbie has more
includes
to do with
Margot
Barbie.
Robbie. Yeah, but of course, obviously. Barbie is the biggest movie of 2023, and that means that she just got massive star clout.
Biggest
And
movie of
someone
Warner
figured
Brothers
that,
history, actually, but yeah.
got to, and someone figured out, hey, wait a second, she was in the Suicide Squad. That's part of my stuff. Me being James Gunn, you know what? I'm gonna keep on to her as well, because that's in my sphere of movies. So
I mean, there
Now,
will be
yeah,
this-
I
one
think
break.
that she stays for those 2 reasons.
This
One,
isn't confirmed yet, but yeah, it's just the rumor going around, guys.
It's
Sorry.
just the rumor going on, but however, there is one conflict with that, and that is the fact that Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller appeared as their Aquaman and Flash characters in Peacemaker. And if Peacemaker continues and doesn't use them, you're going to have a continuity error in that case. So with the
so you
question
have a
that's gonna be-
continuity editor. There's no worse continuity
exactly.
editor than you have in any X-Men movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
But here's
maybe
the
it
other
doesn't-
part too.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
James Gunn is talking about retaining these 3 cast members as these characters, and he's also acknowledged that some things won't be canon and some things will be canon. So I don't think he's helping his case in that regard.
No. And what he meant by that is everything in Peacemaker is canon. Apart from the joke in the beginning of the first episode with the Aquaman and the
Well, that was in
and
the last
fishies.
episode because we physically saw them. Yeah.
Yeah, no. It was in the first episode where he made the joke about Aquaman doing it with fish. That's the first episode. And
That's
that's the
the first
last
episode.
episode where we physically saw them. So those 2 things of Peacemaker, they're not canon. Everything else in Peacemaker is canon.
Probably.
See?
Who knows?
See how
Yeah.
that works? Now you
Yep.
just uncanon your way out of it, so you can keep all of Peacemaker. You just close your eyes for those scenes. And maybe, since it's digital, maybe someone is going to do some snips of those scenes in future Peacemaker. Like they have done that with the MCU. They have gone back to, for instance, WandaVision, and they changed the post-credit scene after the fact. They have done changes like that in the MCU. Who is to say that they're going to decide that, you know what, now for the release of season 2 of Peacemaker, lots of people are going to rewatch and revisit season 1 of Peacemaker. You know, let's just snip away those things that we don't want to be there anymore. It can be done very, very easily. There, you have now made Peacemaker canon. And the only place that still exists is on the hard drives of people who downloaded illegally and in reaction videos. But on HBO
So
Max,
is that necessarily a bad thing?
no, I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all, but basically that's one way of doing it because it's so little. So
Well-
that's how you can now make a Peacemaker perfectly aligned with canon by cutting away exactly 30 seconds of footage that no longer drives with it, and boom, Peacemaker is canon.
I guess what they're doing live, let's call it, is exactly what you do as a scriptwriter. You start off with your idea, you map it out to the best of your abilities, and by the time you get to the end, you realize that, wait a second, I now want to put this hint of something at the beginning, or this person can't be gay because of what I've now come up with at the end. So I got to change that around. It sounds to me like they're using that same technique, but rather the free method, just using your brain. They're using the we'll do it on the product that we've actually created and spend more millions of dollars because we can.
Yeah, that's really, yeah, it's funny.
It is funny, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, that's not how this works. You're doing it backwards, you idiot.
That's right. Get it, figure it out. I mean, that's actually one of the fun things about writing a script is, by the time you get to the end, you got to go back to the beginning and
clean it
fix
up,
things
essentially.
that no longer make sense at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we are losing you, Chato. You have another appointment, and we know you
I
have
have to
like
pick
a
up my
big appointment
RV.
later.
We're
So yeah,
actually going to go camping on the weekend, so I have to go pick it up and get rid of the antifreeze, and I got work to do, manly work.
yeah, exactly. Someone's going to do that as well.
Although my wife just fixed the thermoristor in the pool heater on her own. I
Oh,
could hear her
nice.
swearing outside the window, but
That's a sign of a job well done right there.
yeah, she had to, pull out my son's socket wrench set and get the 22 millimeter spanner, but she did it. It's one of the reasons I love my wife.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons why she doesn't love us, because you were here, so you couldn't do it.
That's
Yeah.
the type of handiwork at her age that's really useful.
If
Yeah.
she's swearing, that means she might be swearing because you're not out there helping her. She probably should hurry up.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
she's swearing because nuts and bolts get old and rusty, and
Yeah. Well, she should thank us for keeping you occupied, so she
totally
can stay in
agree.
shape.
It's because of you that I have made her life more fulfilling.
Exactly.
Okay, well then it's one or the other, I suppose. I'll take that.
Yeah, exactly. Like she has an absentee husband, and that's a really growing experience. Yeah, she owes us a big
Maybe.
thank you for
She
that.
won't need me anymore. Damn.
Oh no, you're not gone all the time. So yeah,
I am
just
doing
enough that she has to do some other stuff.
So we'll see you. Have a wonderful weekend, and yeah, we'll see you. Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of the show. Everyone out there, don't forget to hit the like button.
Yeah,
Indeed.
have fun with the RV.
Bye.
And have fun on FNT.
Yeah. It's 4 hours. What a marathon.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is trending news. This is actual breaking news, not the other thing I said in the private chat. Suge Knight is being charged with Tupac's death. Looks like here. At least looks like. I'm not 100% on this, but that's the trend going around here.
Isn't that like
But isn't Tupac supposed to be secretly alive somewhere, still putting out songs?
Okay, so this is not fully. Okay, this is from. Okay, this is from AP. Somebody was arrested in the shooting, but the word going around is that Suge Knight was the one who put out the. So we'll have to see. This might be a developing story here. They actually finally solved this case. Interesting.
better late than never, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised if it was Suge Knight. And the other name going around now, of course, is Puffy. That'd be interesting. Are you serious? Like literally who? Go watch Straight Outta Compton, then come back. Yeah, people give a shit about Tupac. That's right.
Yeah, well, but for those who might not have been alive at the time, or
I know,
or had
yeah.
memory from the time, like I remember when Tupac was shot. I wasn't a fan, but I remember it happening.
Yeah. Oh, I love Tupac. He was one of the best. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. That's interesting. We'll see how that develops.
But yeah, we were talking James Gunn, and yeah, like I can totally see what he's doing here, and basically everything we have heard just further affirms to me that it is exactly what I read from his statements the first time, basically all of his stuff, that stays. And yeah, so maybe you have to squint for a couple of things there, but beyond that, the gist of it, that stays. And outside of his own stuff, then anything is up for grabs. It's what he wants that stays, and what he doesn't, that doesn't stay. Probably most things won't stay,
And
with the
now,
exception of Sholo.
and here's the other thing I said last night about this that I think he's not realizing. If the real reason they announced this shit was mainly to get rid of the Snyder fans or to try and quiet them a little bit, it backfired because they created a whole new faction of people against James that didn't give a shit about the Snyderverse. They just gave a shit about like Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck and such, right?
Yeah. Like
And
if
they're
you
sitting
wanted
here,
questions of like, where's Henry or where's Ben, keeping these other three around does not help get rid of those questions. It actually amplifies them.
and I would argue that's a bigger audience than who gave a shit about the Snyder cut, because more people are along the lines of, yeah, I didn't like those movies, but Henry Cavill was fine as Superman. I would rather see him just continue. And people are going to ask, why are you doing this?
Yep.
Absolutely. And I also think that it was really, really stupid to make that premature announcement, and especially if indeed the real reason was that they wanted the Snyder fans to shut up, to just stop it, realize that it's over and get with the program. If that was their intention, then whoever is their PR manager, whoever made that decision, needs to be fired.
Well,
Because
this is
that
where
was so
Zaslav,
incompetent. That was so utterly emotional, such a failure to understand the audience, that it just boggles the mind that you would think, oh, we have to get these particular people, so we're going to announce that for that, with no thoughts to the bigger picture of what this was going to do. I have no sympathy with them for the backfire, because that was
well,
on them. They
and
couldn't
it
have
still
handled
could
any
be
worse.
averted. Here's what we were saying last night, and this is what makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever. And this is where Zaslav should come in and make some kind of executive decision and say, look, you can continue and finish off Peacemaker and whatever else you're going to do with Waller and all that shit, but once that's done, it's done. Get it done with and get it over with before Superman. Why are they saving Peacemaker 2 till after Superman? Do you realize that's going to be like a 5-year gap between seasons almost?
Because Peacemaker Season 2 is canon. It's part of the new universe.
It makes
You're gonna have
absolutely no fucking
Peacemaker.
sense.
You're going to have Peacemaker appear alongside Superman, probably in some other stuff. Peacemaker is part of the future. Peacemaker isn't some kind of thing that you have to finish off out of something you just started. No. That's the future. That's why it's coming after Superman Legacy.
They're
Because
making the
you
same
you
mistake
just
Marvel did, only
See,
worse.
Peacemaker Season 2, it's going to be filled with references and story setups for future DCEU movies. You just wait and see. Peacemaker is your new Iron Man.
Yeah. That is the biggest mistake
Oh,
ever.
you have to take my word for it. That's what's
Because I
going
have
to
yet to
happen.
be convinced that there was this huge audience that watched Peacemaker too, Andre. Because you are one of the only people I know who fucking watched it.
I
Like,
watched it.
yeah, you guys are about the only ones I know then, because I have not met too many other people who actually sat down and watched it. Everybody else I've talked to, they're like, no, I watched an episode. Or Klobby, I think, was the only other one. He said, I don't even think he finished it yet, because he said every time he watches it, he feels like he has to take a shower after every episode.
Oh, that's very well be. But still, that is James Gunn's decision, and I think that is why you have Peacemaker Season 2 coming after Superman, because from what I understand, Peacemaker Season 2 was written long time ago, but I'd be shocked if he hasn't tweaked Season 2, that he hasn't gone back and retweaked it to fit with his future plans, so that it'll fit perfectly in with the universe. Because this is the whole idea now, that once the new universe begins, everything is canon, everything is going to be the same voice actor, same faces, same across everything. So why the hell would he keep doing Amanda Waller and Peacemaker if that wasn't continuing? It is continuing. Peacemaker 2, you know what that is? That's a setup for a bunch of movies, and Peacemaker Season 3, and Peacemaker Season 4, and Peacemaker in Superman, and Peacemaker in whatever the hell else is coming. Maybe we'll have a Peacemaker teaming up with Lobo or something. It's gonna happen. Peacemaker is your new Iron Man. He's gonna be there. He's gonna pop up in a bunch of different things, and so is the rest of his team.
This is coming from somebody who's been one of Gunn's biggest champions. He is doing this to himself. Nobody cares about this shit but him.
No, but he
Nobody
cares, and he's the
in the grand
decision
scheme of
maker, so
things.
he gets to make that call.
And it's
this
gonna
asshole has
destroy
trusted
the
him.
DC universe. He is doing it. It's almost like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that he's gonna destroy this, and this is gonna be the biggest fuck up of his career.
This is funny because you know who else said that? Mikey Sutton said that. I spoke with him privately. I never reported it because, of course, by Mikey Sutton, he was in the very pro Snyder camp, so his influence his opinions may have been colored by that. But still, he was of the opinion that James Gunn is going to fuck this up.
Well, and this is the thing, is I was all on board with it as long as it was going to be a completely fresh reboot. That's the only thing that made sense. This incessant need to keep your Peacemaker and Suicide Squad cast around and your fucking wife in a useless goddamned role is going to destroy any chance this had of getting there's another 10 years of fucking DC down the drain.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see.
We haven't had a decent DC movie since The Dark Knight, if you really think about it.
Personally, I think that Peacemaker is the best thing I've seen on TV for 5 years, which is why I don't mind, because I freaking love Peacemaker. So if Peacemaker is a big central part of
that's
the
DC
problem,
universe
Andre, going forward,
you and
me personally, and I'm not representative for everyone, but to me personally, that makes me more, not less excited.
But you're a perfect example of what James needs to get past. He needs to kill his own baby in this respect. He needs to sacrifice it. Sure, finish it off. That's what I'm saying. He's got plenty of time between now and Superman. He can finish off Peacemaker. He can do Waller and just put a cap on that whole thing. And then when Superman, because we all know Superman's going to get pushed back again. Let's be real. After this strike, everything is going to push that movie back out again. So he's got extra time in there. Why are you wasting all this? What is he doing? Besides prepping for Superman right now.
Writing Peacemaker season 3.
Possibly.
I'm not joking.
Probably.
If not that probably. Well, I mean, whatever other projects he wants to write, he's probably already been doing during the writer's strike on his own.
Exactly.
And he's just waiting to pitch it, which he's probably doing right now as we speak, and the Warner Brothers office.
He might also be doing the Lobo and the sequel, Lobo Meets James Gunn's Wife, the crossover that James Gunn's wife wanted.
Why don't you just give her a new character?
I already said she would be great as Cat Grant over at the Daily Planet, part of the Superman universe. She's got the gumption for it and the fake breasts, just like the character, so it works.
There's no need. She already has a character in Peacemaker.
But it's confusing.
And it's also a terrible character. I mean, it's boring.
I couldn't tell you the name of the character.
He probably wrote Lobo, and he probably wrote his Booster Gold script that most likely might have Chris Pratt playing the title character.
And it's definitely going to have a cameo by Peacemaker.
Possibly. If not, it'll probably have a cameo by Nathan Fillion playing Guy Gardner, Green Lantern.
It might also have a cameo by Sholo as Blue Beetle, but definitely Peacemaker. You just wait for it. Peacemaker's going to show up in everything.
And look, I get it. Like, people are saying, Tom, take good. You know what? It's not about the goddamn show. The show could be the greatest fucking show of all time. It doesn't fucking matter.
It is the greatest show of all time.
It doesn't fucking matter. It is at the expense of the DC universe now. That's what I'm telling you. He has made this choice to destroy this thing before he even has a chance to get off the ground. He has stunted its growth. He has decided that he is going to tie it to his universe that, sure, a few people have watched, but how many people saw the Suicide Squad movie? I guarantee you less people watched his fucking show than watched that fucking movie. That's the problem here. It was a hit for HBO Max when HBO Max first came about.
Actually, that's a benefit because there's more ties to the larger Snyderverse in the Suicide Squad than there is in Peacemaker. If fewer people have seen that than have seen Peacemaker, that's actually a good thing. You just have to see it this way, that the reboot actually begun with Peacemaker.
Well, he's being so short-sighted, though. That's what I'm saying, is like, you can recast all these people in different roles.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't see anything that he has built that is not worth just tossing out or hurry up and go. You know what? He's in control. That's why I said, why don't I go, okay, I'm going to finish off Peacemaker and Amanda Waller and shit. Then I'm going to do Superman. All right? Finish that storyline off and start fresh.
Yeah, that would be a smart thing, and people would actually get that. But again, we don't like the scheduling that he announced recently doesn't make sense to the hardline reboot of Superman Legacy. Peacemaker had something that was kind of shocking, which is thousands of people reenacting that opening credits, which definitely got noticed to HBO and Warner Brothers.
Good Norwegian music.
To Norwegian music, yes. And then on top of that, you also have the fact that people it was basically the show itself was making fun of all the tropes that was going on in the Snyderverse that didn't work. I mean, it was mocking it.
Technically, more people
Egregiously.
watched Ahsoka than watched Peacemaker, from what I'm looking at here from these numbers.
Really? That's
According to Samba, only 638,000 households watched the first episode in the first 4 days. So if you multiply that by 3, that's right around the same amount of number as Ahsoka.
How many households had Samba when Peacemaker came out?
That is fair, and that's why I
versus
multiplied
how
by
many households
3.
have that now?
And I just multiplied it by 3. Okay. So like I said, that gives you somewhere about 1.5 million viewers.
That's in the United States.
Yeah, because I don't even think, is Max even available anywhere else?
Oh yeah,
Available in-
Max
yeah.
is available everywhere.
Yeah, that's the thing. And again, you can just Google Peacemaker
Peacemaker
reenactment opening
trended
credit
all the
video. You
time.
get thousands of them.
Yeah, Peacemaker trended in a way that Ahsoka has never done.
That is true. Yeah.
Peacemaker left a cultural footprint.
I don't see
I mean,
it.
no, it's obviously not like back in the golden age when it was like.
The problem is, did it leave a bigger
water-cooler
cultural
tap or something, but-
footprint than fire James Gunn? That's the problem. I don't see anything Peacemaker trending ever. But ever since this announcement, I've seen fire James Gunn trend every single fucking day.
Yeah.
And he's going to get people on the other side of this, like I said, that were on his side now going, well, what the fuck are you doing?
That's a testament to how badly they have handled communication, because to me, this is a communication problem more than anything else. If they could go back in time, they could so easily flip this. They could so easily flip this. A real big problem they did was that they thought, oh, we have to get the Snyder fans to shut up. And they didn't think of anything else. And then because they were dumb and they were emotional, they fractured the fan base instantly. When what they should have done was go back and said, yeah, you know what, we're going in a new direction. And the new direction was Peacemaker. You want to check it out and get invested right away. That way they didn't have to, they wouldn't even have killed the Flash or anything like that. And then you could gradually get more information out there. Then gradually you could recast Henry Cavill, you could recast Batman, what have you. But the way that they did it was the most stupid, inane way they possibly could do it. I mean, they started with, oh yeah, we're rebooting everything, we're firing your favorite people. That's not how you do it. That's not how you win fans over. Then you start with antagonizing everyone. That's what they did. Instead of just saying, doing it a gradual way. And the gradual way would be, you know what, get invested in Peacemaker. That's the first start of our new direction. We're really going to beef things up. They don't have to go into any more details, but we're starting a new creative direction. Nothing of what happened before. None of those storylines will continue. The characters will continue, but the storylines won't. But Peacemaker sets the standard. Go and watch that, and we'll continue from there. If they had said that, they would have gotten more people to watch. People wouldn't have known that they would be firing Henry Cavill and stuff. They would win people over before delivering the bad news. Instead, They led with the bad news and brought everyone against them instantly. Seriously, they need like a new PR manager because their PR on this sucked balls.
Well, not only that,
This is a spin situation here.
Here's what I'm talking about. Like, just for like, the reason that they're saying that Peacemaker is the big hit or whatever it is because it's an HBO Max original. Just compare it to like the Game of Thrones, the one that just come out here. Like, just
House of
on
the
its,
Dragon.
yeah, like that dwarfed it in viewership, right? Like, we're talking 3-4 times as much. I'm trying to find the exact number here.
Of
'cause it's
course,
got a
Game of
combined
Thrones had
number
a-
here.
Game of Thrones had a far more solid fan base that were really upset with those last 2 seasons. And then when they saw the first 2 episodes of House of the Dragon, and it felt more in line with what they were accustomed to, they returned.
What I'm just saying is, I'm just trying to
DC has
show.
not had a very strong fan base,
Right,
for the
but
last
my
10
point
years.
is yes, it was a big hit for HBO Max, but HBO Max hasn't had any real shows. As compared to like everything else, it's not that. That's why I was saying it's about on level of Ahsoka, right? Like,
And how much? And then we compare the subscribers from Max to Disney Plus, and what's the aggregate there, right?
you could do that as well, and that's my whole point. Is that on a level of like a hit show like Game of Thrones, where it's a huge hit, where it drew in 9.9 combined viewers between HBO and HBO Max over its 4-day opening or whatever, it dwarfs Peacemaker's numbers. That's my point, is like it's not even on the same kind of level. So you're talking about keeping something that very few people, like out of 10, how many people do you think really have watched it? 3?
Maybe. Yeah.
Possibly.
Is that worth keeping that just to destroy this whole franchise at this point?
Well, I don't know that it's going to destroy anything. I think it depends entirely on the execution. And
Every
what
time
really
you have a
screwed them
movie,
over here is the messaging.
people are going to be asking, why is this guy playing Superman and not Henry Cavill? Why is this guy playing Batman and not Ben Affleck? Is this the same universe? Wait a minute, this makes no sense. That's what you're going to have people saying.
Yeah, that's a messaging problem that they have. That's them screwing up in the messaging.
And then add in the other weird rumor I heard the other day, which I'm putting any stock into, is that there's supposedly still more talks with Gal Gadot going on behind the scenes.
So, I mean, to your point, Tom, I understand the Samba stuff, but you have HBO Max, which has around 73 million subscribers, and then you have Disney Plus, which has 146 million subscribers. So you clearly have more market share for Ahsoka to reach audiences than you did for Peacemaker.
Yeah, but raw numbers are raw numbers at the end of the day still.
But again, you're talking about, okay, out of the percentage of how many subscribers versus how many of the subscribers actually watch the show, it looks like the majority of more subscribers of HBO Max actually watch Peacemaker compared to the subscribers of Disney Plus watching Ahsoka.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah,
and I think those are the numbers.
A bigger success.
Yeah, those are the numbers with regards to what HBO Max is looking at. Oh wow, look, this percentage of our subscribers watch Peacemaker, and if you calculate that percentage, I'm sure that percentage is greater than the percentage that's watching Ahsoka, because of course Disney Plus has almost double the subscriber count of Max.
Yeah.
Now here's the other part too. If Max and Disney Plus had the same subscriber numbers and their viewership was the same, then you'd have a far stronger point because they're hitting the same market reach. In this case here, it's not even. I mean, it's literally double in Disney's favor.
Yeah. Of course, your point still stands, Tom, in that it is minuscule compared to the total number of like theatrical viewers.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I think that this more than anything is a messaging problem that they've got going on, and it's one entirely of their own making, because they wanted to get rid of the Snyder fans, but in so doing, they screwed over everyone. And now we'll just have to wait and see how he'll do it. I have to say, I'm much more worried about him writing Superman and Batman than anything else. I'm much more worried about Tom King being involved in Batman.
Me too.
Being one of the architects here than the Peacemaker, because having seen Peacemaker, I actually think that's a strength to build on that. I'm much more worried about the movies at this point. than anything else because of the talent involved and the direction he seems to take. I mean, that he wants to do the Bat family when his key strength is messed up family dynamics. But is that what you really want in a Batman movie, other than Lego Batman? I'm not sure I want that. So yeah,
I
we'll
don't.
see.
I want
Yeah.
a mystery that makes me actually try to solve it alongside with Batman, and it's a competent mystery, not the
Basically, what you want is Batman versus Poirot, or like a Batman meets Poirot. That's you have to
Yeah.
like kind of like approach it like, here we have a mystery. Now imagine it's Poirot, but it's Poirot that has a secret identity. That's how you have to do it.
Yeah, if you do it that, or like, you know, Sherlock Holmes or Columbo
Something
or
like
Quincy,
that. I mean,
any type of good detective archetype, let that be your forefront. There and a legitimate mystery. Give
Yeah.
audiences a question that keeps them on the edge of their seats and they want to follow and see a resolution to. That's something that unfortunately has not been done with any competence live action for Batman.
And even more unfortunate, there's no signs that it's going to happen either, because James Gunn wants to do this Bat family dribble.
Yeah,
with
I'm not
Tom
a fan
King
of
of
Damian
all
Wayne
people.
or any of those characters.
So I am
post
much
2000.
more worried about that than I am James Gunn's wife. But yeah, that's me.
I'm just saying,
Huh?
it's dead before it even starts now.
Well, I
The
think
more he
that's
talks, the worse he makes it.
Yeah, well, they started off on a really, really bad foot. They botched it worse than I thought they ever could have with their early messaging. But yeah, let's see what the guys have to say in the super chat.
Pinochet says Hollywood hates families and Christmas. Why break? Well, that's their time to have off. That's why.
Well, those also Hanukkah's around that time too, and
that too.
There's a lot of people that celebrate Hanukkah in Hollywood. Pinochet.
And also, they hate your family,
That's
not their own.
racist.
What?
I'm kidding.
Numbers are racist? Oh, right. That's right. Math is racist. I forgot.
It is. Yeah, we
You
know
can't
this.
say that anything. You can't put those two things in the same sentence, or you're going to be called that. Just so you remember.
It's like me,
We're going to start calling you Kanye. Yeah.
Me, a Jewish person commenting on Jewish people's holidays. Yes.
I know. I'm just saying it was a joke. Anyway,
no,
unknown.
I think it's great.
Amanda Waller died in Gunn's Suicide Squad and is back in Peacemaker.
No, she didn't.
I don't remember her dying, but
no, she didn't.
No, she was hit in the back of the head with a golf club.
Yeah,
I mean that should have killed her, but
it would have in actual reality, but not in a movie.
Not in a movie. I would
in a
prefer
movie
they hit her in the golf club and then
sleep for an hour.
Yeah, I would have preferred they hit her with the golf club once she went down, and then they just kept going at her with the golf club. then you could say definitively she died. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the one fake out death in that movie was Peacemaker, but hey, you had the post credit scene, so which took care of even that. So yeah, but both will be back in their own series, and I'm sure they will be in Superman and many more things for many years to come in James Gunn's DC universe. And Darting says for $2 Australian, DCU will be gunned down, drive-by film shooting. Yeah, we'll
already
see.
has been.
We'll see.
At this point, Hiker Guy 2 says once trauma director, always a trauma director. Well, it's starting to look that way, and I hate saying it. Rambam 3000 says, "Have you guys heard about? Oh, have I heard about Matt Reeves supposedly rebooting They Live?" Now, this has been blowing up my Twitter because I shared the news of this. This comes from Giant Freaking Robot, actually. The only reason I shared it is because it came from Screen Rant. I didn't notice that the source was Giant Freaking Robot. So I would take it with a big grain of salt. That being said, John Carpenter, he will let you remake anything. Just give him a check. So as far as like, is there talks about it? Is it plausible? Very. Is it probably happening? I don't know.
I hope not. Because Matt
I don't
Reeves...
think they see the irony in remaking They Live, do they?
No, Tom. They do see the irony. That's why they're doing it. They're taking it back. Because Matt Reeves, that motherfucker, whom I have never liked, And I was always against the Batman. Not because of Robert Pattinson, but because of him, because of Matt Reeves. I have never, ever liked that J.J. Abrams acolyte, that WEF acolyte, the one who preaches the agenda of Schwab, the one whose the Batman is all about Biden economics or whatever the hell it's called. You want that dude, that establishment, let them eat bugs, dude. Do they live? The hell is going to do to that? I mean, the only person I would want to do that movie less is Ryan Roundhead Johnson. I mean, that movie, that's going to be like an anti-people like us movie. It's going to be an anti-common sense. It's going to be like, you do as you're told, pleb. That's going to be the messaging of that movie in the hands of Matt Reeves. I have no idea why that guy is celebrated as a filmmaker, why anyone looked forward to his Batman. Someone needs to explain to me what's so special about Matt Reeves. Because based on, and I have never been impressed with his movies. I mean, Tom, you can share the story of what happened that time. You came so excited because you had gotten early tickets to his Planet of the Apes. What was
Well, I
my
like those
enthusiastic
movies.
response?
I liked those movies. I didn't like the Batman. I enjoyed the Planet of the Apes films, but I also got to admit that he didn't start that franchise. Now, Matt Reeves might be somebody who can pick up a franchise and run with it. That may be true. But from what I saw of him out of him in the Batman is exactly what you had said all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Because you were somebody who was not a fan of his. And when I think what you're referring to is when I said, I'm going to see an early screening of the film. Do you want me to do a review for the main channel? And you're like, why? And I'm like, well, obviously, because it's early and it's genre and it's what we cover. He's like, I fucking hate Matt Reeves. And I'm like, well, okay. It's one of the few times I think you actually let your bias get in the way of something.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Because I think in retrospect, you probably would have been like, cooler head would have prevailed and be like, no, we got to put it on the main channel because it is an early review and all that shit like that. But
we should have. But
at the time, that was the one time you put your foot down, I think, completely out of bias.
Yeah. But in retrospect, with the Batman, you saw I was right all along about that. Yeah, that filmmaker.
I mean, if I rewatched his Planet of the Apes movies, I'd probably pick out more things in it. But see, that kind of messaging works in the Planet of the Apes films to a point because they've always been built on a civil rights kind of allegory of sorts. Where so he's just kind of been the reversal, right? You know, like the quote unquote white man is now the one who's the minority in this storyline or whatever. That's kind of always been part of the films. So maybe there's some of that shit I didn't pick up initially that was a little bit more heavy-handed, but I mean, then again, those two movies also came just on the cusp of woke Hollywood, so that could also be another reason why they skated by. But in retrospect, I don't. I remember liking the third film, but I wonder if I would as much if I go back and watch it now. So you're probably right, and I've seen everything in the Batman. It's definitely BLM, man.
Yeah,
all the way through.
And him doing They Live. No. That's basically them deciding, oh, this is ours now. You can't have it.
Yeah, this is dumb. And I mean, I'm sick and tired of all the John Carpenter remakes, but
yeah, leave his legacy alone.
Yeah, leave it alone. He has one of those storied careers where he's literally like, without even trying, he became a probably the most famous cult director of all time. Because he's never really had a huge hit outside of Halloween and Starman. Those are the only two movies that he has ever had that actually made a shitload of money at the box office. From there, you have varying degrees of bombs.
Well, degrees of bombs at the box office, but
yeah,
just
they became huge hits on cult video and stuff like that later on. Yeah,
huge hits in the secondary markets and stuff. And that's the thing is, you can look at his.
The Thing is a great example, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you look at his slate of films, and really the worst one of them is Ghost of Mars.
Yeah, and that's when he quit trying.
And that's when he quit trying. Yeah, all the other ones are fantastic. Even Dark Star, his indie one was is pretty good, and it was made for pennies.
But
It
most
led
people
to
don't
Alien.
realize that he's never actually had any box office hits aside from Halloween and Starman. You go back and look. Escape from New York, I think, is the only one he had that came close. I think it broke even at the box office. Otherwise, The Thing, everything else he ever did, Big Trouble in Little China, I think didn't make its money back, but it did okay otherwise. But the rest of them all either flopped or did horribly bad. Like The Thing was one of those that historically bombed at the box office, but as you said, had a huge audience on video and television and cable later on. So
He was a product of bad timing for release because his movies came out during very competitive years. And like if he came out in like a year later or year earlier, people would have actually shown up to see those movies based on word of mouth alone in droves. But you have like John Carpenter's The Thing was 82, pretty damn big year for film.
He was also way ahead of his time all the time. That's the other problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Christine might be his only other hit that I can think of because I think that did make some money at the time.
Oh yeah.
Because that was one of those rare occurrences where they managed to market it well, and it's been a solid seller for Sony. That's one that they have released multiple times over. In fact, it was one of their early 4Ks because it always was a big seller. Because they advertised that Stephen King and John Carpenter joined forces to scare the hell out of you, basically. But yeah, Six found this about Matt Reeves. I guess this is coming from an interview, so there actually is some validity to this. I don't know specifically.
Was it Matt Reeves or John Carpenter?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's Matt Reeves because he's talking about apes here. So the question was, if they took something like They Live, for example, given how much worse the world and the political landscape have become in the past 25, 35, or 30 years, how would you refashion that today? Well, I'm going to tell you about that because I'm not going to tell you about that because it might be closer to reality than you think. He goes, and then the interview goes, there was a remake of development. Goes, there was a feature film. It was a feature film called Resistance, written by, the guy who did the Apes movies. Oh, so this is somebody else. Who is this?
Why would Matt Reeves refer to himself in the third person? Is he that crazy?
Yeah, it's with John Carpenter. It's with John Carpenter.
Okay, so it's Johnny. Okay.
Matt Reeves, then he moved on, so it's a sequel. Well, we'll see. So it's supposed to be a sequel, I guess. They Live Resistance, I guess.
Yeah, well, but would he even know that? But certainly I hope that Matt Reeves isn't doing this because he's one of the last
sounds like
people
it sounds like
I
it's
would
dead.
possibly want to do They Live. I mean, you could very well do a They Live movie today. I mean, this is the perfect time for it. But you have to be very careful about who makes it and who's paying the bills for it.
You guaranteed it would come out, and if they did it actually like the original film, it would be considered conservative propaganda.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just look at what happened to The Sound of Freedom and multiply that by 1 million.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Andre.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I was finished.
What did you say?
No, what I said was basically, just imagine the blowback to Sound of Freedom, and if you were to do They Live, the manner in which it has to be made this day and age, the blowback would be 1 million times what was for Sound of Freedom.
Which is funny because I said the irony of ironies is the original film was more or less left-wing propaganda at the time because it was very much against Reagan's 80s US is what it was.
Yeah, that is the one part of it that did not hold up well.
Well, at the time, I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, there was a lot of shit in that era that we learned that wasn't as great as we thought. And that happens with every single presidency as we go down the line. Same thing with Clinton, same thing we learned with Obama and Bush and everybody else, same difference.
But now we have things that go beyond one presidency.
But unfortunately, the thing is I think Carpenter, as left-leaning as he is, I think he would lean more into the one way to where I think you're right. I think he would just be bombarded and attacked. And especially if you got like Kurt Russell or something in it, right? That would be a bigger mistake because, of course, everybody already knows Kurt Russell's conservative, so that would really not help his case. I mean, who else would he cast? Because at this point, you can't recast Roddy Piper. You'd have to cast somebody as a new character or something.
Yeah, I could cast Jim Caviezel, maybe.
Maybe. There you go.
Yeah,
I don't know. At this point, I say leave it the fuck alone. John Carpenter's not making any movies, so leave it alone. Unless he is directly involved, I don't care. It's, as far as I'm concerned, just like that thing reboot thing. As far as I'm concerned, it's not canon. So yeah, it's not in the Carpenter canon. If it don't have his name over the title, it don't count.
Yeah.
That's one thing he was smart enough to do, is as much as people said that was kind of like really he's kind of full of himself or whatever to do that, but you know what? In retrospect, I'm glad he did, because that differentiates his shit from all these crappy remakes. Like The Fog. Have you seen that crappy remake?
Oh
I haven't
God,
even seen the
no, I
original,
didn't.
to
I
be
refuse
honest.
to. Yeah.
Oh my Lord, was that horrible. And it's like, how hard is it to remake The Fog? Like, really? Like, it was bad.
Zombie pirates. There.
Yeah. They fucked that up too. And I can't wait till they muck up with everything else, because we know they've been trying to get this Big Trouble in Little China thing off the ground for a while.
Well, The Rock
And
was
Escape from New
attached to
York.
it for a
Yeah.
while, and yeah, like a reboot of Escape to New York. I remember when they were doing a prequel series announced
Yeah.
for Escape to New York, which actually had potential because a lot of good names were involved with it, that it didn't want to step over anything happening in the films, which was interesting, but they couldn't get it off the ground, and I'm kind of glad they didn't, because it would have actually premiered the same time of Terminator: The Sarah Connor Chronicles if everything went according to plan, and then the strike would have happened, in which case the show would have died anyway. So
Yeah. Well, I called it a reboot. Cool. I see people are like, oh, it's a prequel. It's a prequel. I know. But they didn't call it The Thing first, or the first thing, or before The Thing.
they just
They
called
just
it The
called it
Thing,
The Thing.
and they missed the best gimmick that you would be thinking about when you saw the original, which is, I want to see a Norwegian cast with only speaking Norwegian trying to figure this out.
Right.
You know,
And I love it.
I would love a subtitle film.
And I think Spike and Madness nailed what they would call this remake anyway. It'd be called They Them Live. I think so. Oh, where'd it go here? It was right here. I just had it, and then and then my thing moved. Where'd it go? Anyway, I gave him credit. Oh, there it is. Okay. John Cena and Idris Elba and They Them Lives, man. They Them Live works. So yeah, let's keep going here. We got some more super chats. Chaos Sonics 1 says Peacemaker is also DLC for Mortal Kombat 1, so Peacemaker ruined Mortal Kombat also. Oh, balls. Yeah, they're really pushing it, huh? What's your first thought? Says James Gunn really needs to shut up until he shows us a trailer. Until then, the more he speaks, the less it helps him. That's what I'm saying. He just needs to shut the fuck up.
And that him being in Peacemaker, that's a Peacemaker being in Mortal Kombat, that also just tells me Peacemaker ain't going anywhere.
Oh yeah, I didn't say you were wrong. I said you're right. I disagree with it as a business decision.
Yeah.
Peter Shea says seems DC Gunn Cena anti-American revenge tour.
Yeah, it's a reference to James
China.
Gunn's story to China's John China's apology to China.
Well, he's a lesbian mermaid too, don't forget. Jason Webster says October 6th, Korean thriller Ballerina comes to Netflix. Now is that the one that's the John Wick one, isn't it? Or is this a totally different one?
The Korean thriller Ballerina comes to Netflix. There was a spinoff called The Ballerina.
That's what I'm
John
getting confused
I don't
with.
know if the Korean one is part of that, because Korea does their own stuff.
So this is like a movie, probably. That's what Jason's probably
a Korean film that Netflix has licensed.
All right, probably. I'm
sure it's cool.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I see here. It's
most Korean stuff is.
It looks pretty bloody. Grieving the loss of a best friend she couldn't protect, an ex-bodyguard sets out. Are you sure this is not?
Isn't Anna de Armas supposed to be in line for the John Wick spinoff?
Yeah, so this is totally different. This is an action thriller. Yeah, it's all Korean cast and all that business. So yeah. Okay, so she's an ex bodyguard getting revenge. So it's kind of like Man on Fire in a way, I suppose. Only the other person's dead, not kidnapped.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Robert says, I agree with Tom. DC needs clean slate, no mixes. I agree. Yeah.
Yep,
Obviously,
I'm with that too. I want a hard line in the sand. Everything beyond this line is original, new cast, new stories, everything.
Yeah, well, you got it. It's just a matter of where that line is. Just so happened to be right before Peacemaker.
I think
By
it's
the
more
way,
like a squiggle.
By the way, script, they're taking pitches for X-Men at Disney.
Yeah, I got a text about that.
Did
I
you?
don't have an in yet, so we'll see.
Bummer.
Well, get one because we need that done correctly.
You know what's stupid is how long have they had Fox now? 5 years?
Almost 5 years, yeah.
Why are you just now getting to X-Men?
Well, they were trying to get She-Hulk and Miss Marvel and the MCU
I
going.
am
They didn't
sorry.
need
The
any
day the
problematic
fucking
X-Men.
I wouldn't even have waited for the ink to dry on that check before I'm like, what the fuck are we doing with X-Men?
But that's because you're clever, Tom.
Well, Simon Kingsburg already had his X-Men thing that had to come out, right? And then they had the weird mutants house.
The New Mutants thing, but they pushed that as far away as they could. And I think Kinberg's last film came out just before the sale, wasn't it? I could be wrong. New Mutants, I think, was the only thing left over, and they pushed that back like a year because even the video came out for the soundtrack or whatever, the Marilyn Manson song, like 6 months before we even finally saw the movie or whatever it was. But yeah, I don't know. I have to go look at the time frame. But Shanatsky says the new Planet of the Apes equals humanity dying is good. That's what I'm wondering if I rewatch it now, if I'll get some different messages out of it.
I think you will. I think you will. I think if you watch it now, you're going to find it does not hold up as much as you think, because you're going to see stuff in it you didn't see before.
Well, see, I mean, I always was not I liked the second one, but the second one was the one that I felt was kind of the weakest of the trilogy. When most people were all like, oh, the first one's the weakest one. I'm like, I don't know. That second one's kind of where it goes down. And I felt the third one picked things back up again. Because the weird thing is the third one is probably the most that's closest to the original films. Like of the, what is it, part 4 or 5 or whatever. Part 5, I think it is. Yeah. To where, it has all the same beats in it with his kid getting killed and all that shit. Only it's Woody Harrelson in this one instead of the other bad ape. So, but yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, as far as remakes go, I mean, on that level, on the surface level, I thought they did fine with taking, threads and ideas from the original series and kind of putting it in a coherent narrative. But again, I'd have to go back and watch it. There's probably a lot more propaganda in there than I thought. But Wartooth says Jared let down, still getting his own Joker film.
Jared Leto.
Yeah, let down. I like that. Jared let down. Not that I know of, but that's one of the reasons why I heard about Margot Robbie possibly signing on for some more films, because one of those 3 films will be another Harley Quinn movie. At least that's the rumor that went around here.
Here's the other producer. She is, I believe, a producer associated with Harley Quinn for the foreseeable future. So, I mean, whether she's playing the character or not, she's still going to have her name attached, I think, for at least another movie.
I almost don't. Oh, go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't see Jared Leto's Joker movie happening. Not under Gunn. No way.
No.
Why would he do that?
He's busy with Tron anyway.
I bet you Gunn would probably beg Bradley Cooper to play the Joker.
Weird.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I can see it too, because Bradley Cooper's terrible with comedy. So
he should be begging Macaulay Culkin to play the Joker.
Right?
I don't know if Macaulay really wants to keep acting anymore. I think he's
all
done.
the more reason why he should do it. Would be special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Elijah Wood should clearly play the Penguin after we saw the pictures of him in Toxic Avenger.
He looks way too youthful, though.
I know. I was just kidding. Oh, that's the thing with Elijah. He's like older than us, I think.
Yeah,
And
he's in his late 40s or mid 40s.
Yeah, and he still looks like he's 20. Lucky guy with the genes, anyway. It's like Leo. He was like 20 forever. He's just starting to show his age here over the last few years.
Yeah,
prior to that,
like 42,
he was like,
and you also have James McAvoy, who's 44, and those guys still look like they're in their early 30s.
Yeah, Yeah. Yep. But no, I don't think Jared Leto is going to get a Joker film. I mean, I kind of feel a little like just a tiny teeny bit bad for what happened to him. But then again, it's still kind of funny because I hated that rendition of the Joker. Although I never would have had a problem with it had we just found out in that universe that there was another Joker and he was just Jason Todd. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a successor, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why he's that version. He's like the gang, and then because that would have been perfect, even though they used Willem Dafoe and Aquaman, it would have been brilliant to have Willem Dafoe face off with Ben Affleck as the Joker. That would
But
have
like,
been just.
well, I mean, yeah, that would have been cool. But Jared Leto's like 50.
I know the age wise, but that's the thing. He doesn't look it.
Ben
Another
Affleck-
person who looks
Ben Affleck
youthful.
and Jared Leto are the same age. Actually.
I know we've had this conversation, but here's the difference: Jared Leto does not look that age. You can
No.
get away with believing he's a younger man compared.
20 years
And that's
younger.
what bothered me with having him paired up with Affleck, even though they technically. That's the other thing is, to me, Joker should always be just a shade older than Batman, if not by a decade, because it always feels like there's that age gap that should be there. That's just me personally. I don't know if that's always been a thing, but it kind of feels like the Joker has a life already prior to that, as that he's been around a little longer. At least that's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Possibly, yeah.
It just feels more natural that way when you have a little bit slightly older Joker. Even having that was probably my one thing with Heath Ledger. He was kind of just him being almost like younger or the same age as
Too contemporary.
Bale.
Yeah.
Too contemporary, yeah. But other than that, I was fine with certain aspects of it, but I do agree with you. It's probably the least Joker of all the Jokers. Jason Webster says I had the same issue with Andre and with the Batman. Yeah, well, few people did, but there's a lot of people who just chose to ignore it.
Yeah. Listen, I still maintain the Batman is the worst live action Batman film ever written.
I agree. And I even
really
watched Batman and Robin recently, and that went up a notch on my belt. Well, and I see what Schumacher was doing now more so, and I could laugh with the jokes, right?
No,
like
I
they
mean,
were deliberate. They
were deliberate, but on top of that too,
Yeah.
you also had a plot that you understood what both villains wanted. Like you knew exactly what they wanted.
He's
and why
more
they
of a
were doing it.
detective in that movie, yes.
And on top of that too, you didn't sympathize with them either. You're just like, yeah, they're nuts, they're crazy, they're insane. With the Riddler, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna rally these internet people and we're gonna do stuff. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, and by the way, we're flooding Gotham. It's like, why? What's the end goal?
They did that already. That's what I loved about when everybody's like, oh, it's cool. It's like it's original. It's like, no, we've already seen this movie twice. It's called Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises. It's the same plot. Outside of the other stuff, the political stuff, it's really, what is it? It's the bad guy trying to destroy Gotham and take it down to its roots, right? And rebuild from the ashes.
Something out of the ashes. which is a communist idea that never works.
But that's the whole movie is a pro-communist movie. That's
it
my
is
issue with it.
And then,
yeah.
I mean, that was Ra's al Ghul's goal in Batman Begins. That was Bane's goal in Dark Knight Rises, was to finish that job. But yeah.
But the best angle of that is when Ra's al Ghul says, "Oh yeah, the parents' death galvanized the city to save itself," and it's like, yeah, do you not see how that works? And he's like, "Nope, we're still burning it down." It's like, it's just and then there's some counterpoints brought up in the Dark Knight that is actually quite fascinating too. But that's another stream.
Yeah, no. But that's where you just got to kind of chalk up the Dark Knight series as Nolan basically turning Batman into Bond. You are right.
Yes. Oh, he is definitely James Bond's with a Batman veneer.
And thinking that, you can see where the Joker is kind of more of a Bond villain than he is the Joker in a way, kind of.
Yes, because there's a lot of organization. Like there are crimes that happen or things that happen that are attributed to the Joker doing them, but he wasn't really doing them. Like, like that's the thing. He just sent someone else out to do it as like a goon. And they elevated and escalated his actual threat far beyond what it really was. He was just a master manipulator.
Francisco Sanchez Jr. says 2024 they live will have TDS. Yes, that's all most Hollywood thinks matters with political commentary. But here's the thing, they could do that, and I'm sure certain woke factors will cheer it on. But the problem is it won't work in actual execution like the original film did, because as I said, we're not far enough away from that. Like, what year did the original film come out? 88, 89? Or was it
Thereabouts.
87? I was say it was just at the end of Reagan's run, and we kind of already see the veneer had already run off
It would
of
be
Reagan.
88. It'd be at the top tier of Bush
Exact.
first coming into office.
Yeah, so it was right in that transitional period, and so people were kind of already starting to see the cracks. With the whole thing with Trump is you have to believe that most of the world was bamboozled by him, and that's the thing is the people were bamboozled by Reagan. That was the whole reason that movie works. Because he just shined that smile and put on that gee golly boy charm, and everybody believed everything he said. Right? Like, that was the whole reason you have an actor play president.
Yes, I know an actor who is president of the SAG-AFTRA union.
It
during the
actually
time of-
plays
right.
into that. That's my point. Like, Trump kind of goes against all that, unfortunately, because he was like the antithesis of all that. Like, in fact, even people who supported him are like, I don't like him, but I like what he does. You know, like,
Yeah.
So I mean, you don't have that veneer of this guy as a con man that he could con a whole country, right? Like, or a whole world, even. I don't know. I have a hard time seeing them wrap their head around that story and making it work. But I see where you're coming from, Francisco, and they totally would do it. Totally.
It just wouldn't make sense for an audience to watch it.
It would be a stretch, unfortunately. Again, it'll make sense to those who feel like the world was taken over by Trump, though. You know, the people in California, and that's about it.
It wouldn't make sense for the people with TDS, because it would be TDS the movie from the point of view of someone with TDS.
Yeah, so that's why I agree with Francisco. He's probably completely 100% accurate with this. They'll even have the president be a former reality TV star. Watch him get Simon Pegg, or not Simon Pegg, Simon Cowell. That's what I meant. Peter Smigalski says, Tom, I found out that if Disney wanted to do a men as the actors who had previously played the characters were under contract until 2026, so Disney would have had to use those actors in their movies. What is he? Oh, X-Men, I think he means.
Yeah, he means X-Men.
Oh, I don't know about that, because most contracts are structured to where the studios have the power to use the actors, not the other way around.
Exactly.
Very rarely do you get a pay and play kind of deal anymore.
Yeah, the actors would have to be on call if the studio decided to come, but it's not like it's going to be in the contract that we can't use this character unless it's you. They are unlikely to have had that in their contract. Unless Simon Kinberg added something like that for his final movie just to fuck with Marvel.
But I mean, he already was making that movie before the Fox deal was even announced, so he probably had no knowledge of that. And trying to get that in retroactively would be really difficult. But yeah, pay or play things are still a huge function with regards to actors, but it's usually film by film basis. It's not, you can do a pay or play for one movie and then sign a follow-up contract with regards to 2 or 3 more appearances, but that's still that each one of those appearances are still subject to negotiation of whether or not the actor will do it. So it's not an overall. It's usually just kind of just giving them a pocket where they can work from if they want to return or not. Again, technically speaking, to a degree, Terrence Howard had a stipulation in his contract where he was able to come back, but he wanted more money because that was part of the renegotiations, and he was then the replacement Don Cheadle from Iron Man. So, yeah, it's not always a guarantee.
No, and the only person I could see having a pay or play deal would be Hugh Jackman, which would make sense, but then that doesn't make any sense why we've been hearing he signed on for 3 more pictures.
Oh no, Jennifer Lawrence would have a pay or play deal. James McAvoy would have a pay or play
that's
deal.
true.
Fassbender would have a pay or play deal. Some of the younger actors, not so much, but if they did a couple of extra roles that got them some more notoriety, they could earn a pay or play deal.
They could possibly, but
Holt. What's his name?
Nicholas Holt.
Nicholas Holt has a pay or play. He's big enough for a pay or play.
Big enough, but that doesn't mean they got it. As we've pointed out many times, the studios don't like to do those anymore because they get burnt more than not. And we've only heard of a few in recent years that I know of. So I'd be surprised. I'd be very surprised. You're right, probably though. Jennifer Lawrence is probably the only other person who possibly does, I think. And she didn't get that until later on. But my point is why would they have to give him a new contract if he already had a contract? That was my point. We haven't heard about hardly any of the other people. And the only other people we've been hearing about have been classic X-Men actors like Ian McCallum and shit like that. So I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I think some of them are slated to show up in Deadpool as far as the First Class and the original cast. Then we're also hearing that's supposed to put a cap on that whole X-Men universe anyway. So
another cap on it, technically.
like a final, and not only that or whatever. It's supposed to end up combining the universes because the rumor that we reported here, I believe, on this from the Bounding Comics into Comics article, if I remember right, was that's what's leading up to Secret Wars, is that it'll combine all those universes and then Secret Wars will reset everything, and that's where we'll get 3 appearances out of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine between Deadpool, something else, and Secret Wars. Probably Secret Wars and a sequel to Secret Wars, I'd imagine.
And that would be unfortunate because as much as I enjoy Hugh Jackman, I really want to see another actor play that role.
Well, we're going to, but I guess that's where they're at right now. And again, I don't think he even has a pay or play deal. That's my whole point going back to the initial super chat here, is I don't know if any of these actors did. Maybe Jennifer Lawrence has one hanging on and that's it. Because I don't know if they had any plans to go any farther than they had. Because the Dark Phoenix one, that was what, the 4th film in that First Class saga. So
Yeah,
if she had gotten a deal after, because most of those deals would have been made after the first film, and they probably had like 3 picture deals each, I'd imagine, for the main cast. So if I had to take a guess, plus because they had First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix. Okay,
Dark Phoenix.
So, yeah. So 4, yeah. That'd probably be about all their appearances that would have been contractual if they had any pay or play deals. I could be wrong, but that would be my guess. And then Big Daddy MRI says, I would much prefer that the next Tron is directed by Joseph Kosinski. He's been trying to get Tron 3 off the ground for 10 years or more. He has had at least 2 scripts to work with. Disney should let him run with it. Honestly,
they should, totally.
Yeah, but this is
legacy. Yeah.
I mean, Tron has been something they've been trying to they're going to probably do this Jared Leto thing. I think the chance. Yeah, I think the chance of anything coming off of that last film went out the window years ago. Basically, when the series didn't manage to gain an audience after the second film, which didn't do as well as they were hoping at the box office. You know, that's one of those times I wonder if re-releasing the first film in like a special edition might have helped that movie. Do you guys think?
That would be nice. Yeah. Well, they did do a re-release, but it wasn't a special edition. It was just
it was just a regular. Yeah, it was just no. But I mean, like actually threw it in theaters with some, like I hate putting that out there, but just the idea of redoing some of the special effects to make it kind of sync up more with the second film, just to kind of lead up to it. I think it might have helped that movie's legacy a little bit, because at that point when Tron 2 came out, very few people even remembered what the original Tron was. And I remember going to see it in an empty theater on opening day. I was like so disappointed. I'm like,
oh,
where's everybody?
Was empty. Ours was packed. Yeah. I remember it was just crazy. Just even trying to get tickets in my area. Of course, I was in like.
Well, I saw it in 3D as well. So
yeah, so did I. Also,
why go to 3D?
That was one of the best 3D experiences I've ever had in my life, because the gimmick was when you're in the real world, it wasn't in 3D. As soon as you go in the computer, it's 3D. So it really played with the gimmick. Like, it was one of those few times.
Single best 3D experience of my life, plus one of the best theatrical experiences at that. And it was recently.
Yeah, it blew my fucking mind. Like I was so impressed. I'm like, I was trying to tell everybody about. I'm like, not only do you have to see this movie, you have to see it in 3D. I'm like, you got to. I'm like, it's amazing. Especially like the light cycle sequence was amazing, and it opened up into the, like, if you saw it in IMAX 3D, it was even better, I guess, because I didn't get to see it in IMAX, but they do have it on the video version of it. But yeah. So yeah. Anyway, moving on though, we've got a couple more super. We got one more super sticker here from What's Your First Thought. It is a thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up if you guys haven't already. There's still 1,300 of you watching. And then we've got Showbiz, who was gifted a membership by Jesus Davila. And Best West 92 was gifted a membership by Max Relax. So thank you, Jesus and Max, for gifting those memberships. We appreciate that. Speaking of members, When are we gonna have a member stream, Andre? We got to do that.
Let's try for Tuesday, because Tuesday, is my experience, is often the best day. It's just that the last couple of Tuesdays, something has come up for one or both of us. But as of this moment, I think that Tuesday works. I think. So let's hope and pray for Tuesday, because I know I'm busy this weekend.
All right. Well, with that, we are caught up, and I don't think we had any more stories to cover, did we?
No, we are all covered for the end of this week.
All right. With that, join us on Sunday night on Midnight's Edge After Dark. We're going to be going through a list of Halloween films, 85 of them to be exact. So get your pen and pencil handy, or your pencil and paper handy, and get ready to write down some Halloween films to enjoy throughout October, because we got a hell of a list for you guys on Sunday night on Midnight's Edge After Dark. That starts right around 8 o'clock Central Time. So hopefully you join us there. Script Doctor, anything you've got coming up that you want to plug?
Well, Sunday morning I'll probably be playing some Void Crew with the fellow Canucks, Mr. Tickletrunk, Wolverine Snicked, and Fat Steven. So if you want to not have to worry about crazy political entertainment news, you can hang out over there and watch four guys try to not die in space. That's fun. And then
Isn't
I got
that
some
what you
stuff on
kind of do in space, is just try not to die?
pretty much, but it's way more comical when with us doing it.
Oh, I can
And
imagine.
And then, I got some reviews coming up on my Patreon that I'm just finishing up and here as well, including some Q&As. I've got some responses from some members, head members of the union with regards to questions on the NBA. And as soon as I can get a couple more confirmations, I'll start talking about that on the Patreon as well. So yeah, and then follow me over on Twitter at ScriptDoctorPhD for all my other musings and stuff.
All right. Jason Webster says, panel, what film would you like to see get a remake? Interesting question.
You're the Hunter from the Future. Cool concept, terrible execution. Remake that.
That's a great idea.
I'd like to chime in. The Black Hole, for the exact same reason that Script Doctor said, only applied to different
You said that. My answer has already been taken once, because they already tried to remake and they fucked it up. So it's really tough for me now. I'd have to think hard, but I was really disappointed with how they screwed up Willard, because I saw an early cut of it and it was one of the best remakes I'd ever seen in my life. Perfectly cast, tone was perfect, everything was perfect about it, and then they went and ruined it by reshooting the ending and making it PG-13, and just took all the edge out of it. And I'm like, what did you do to this movie? But anyway, shit. Ghoulies would be a fun one to see a remake of, and I should direct it. Because I love rubber monsters. That's about it. I can't think of anything else offhand. Because the stuff like what Script said otherwise. Yeah, there's tons of stuff like Crawl, Your, a lot of those like sword and sorcery kind of stuff out of the 80s that had some great
Crawl's still
concepts.
pretty okay. I mean, Crawl is Crawl.
It is, but they've been talking about remaking that for years, and you could turn that into a series.
Not bad. It's not terrible enough to warrant.
Or you could or you could at least pick it up with a sequel, maybe.
Yeah. I'm thinking of like just god awful movies that have a really good premise. It's like
Beastmaster could possibly work as a remake, even though I did like the first two films. I mean, even Highlander is one
sequel
thing.
to Deathstalker. That would be funny.
Well, you could,
because you'd
have to make it bad. Don't even say Short Circuit. They've been trying to remake Short Circuit for years. It just leave it alone.
Short Circuit is good. You don't remake a good movie.
Leave it alone. If anything, you do my idea for the third film. That's it. That is where you send Johnny Five to college. Done.
Remake Project Shadow Chaser. You can make a great
stuff that just didn't work before. I agree with Script. That's kind of the best place to start.
It did work, but it can work even better.
Yeah. Like, I mean, stuff that has potential. But I'm one of those rare people that is I don't have the knee-jerk reaction to remakes most people do. I only have knee-jerk reaction to certain films that I don't think that should be touched. You know what I mean? Other than that, like, go for it. I love having 20 different King Kong movies. And I'm not even being sarcastic. I love King Kong, so give me more, you know. Jaws, Citizen Kane, Gone with the Wind, Ghostbusters. Those are movies that should never be remade or have been remade and should have been. But then again, things like Highlander have potential that we're not fully tapped into initially. That's where I'm not against the Henry Cavill reboot that's coming out. It still sounds like stuff like that. I'm fine with, but no,
I wonder if that's
great
what they're
question.
shooting in the Canary Islands with Gerard
Maybe.
Butler.
Maybe because would he be playing the Kurgan? Maybe
Kurgan or Ramirez,
or is he playing Ramirez? That's a good question. Ooh, Gerard
Andre.
Butler.
Find out.
Yeah, you're there. What the hell, man? Are they? I thought they were shooting that in Ireland, though. That's where but maybe they're shooting part of it in there too. Who knows? They were rewriting it last we knew. That's all I knew.
There's some good locations in the Canary Islands that you could have fun with a Highlander Immortal premise,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that Henry Cavill was here like last 2 or 2 weeks ago.
Find out.
Yeah, I know. I saw him on the street.
What is it? Did they have a code name for the movie?
I don't know it.
Well, I was asking script, but
I haven't. It hasn't come across my.
I believe that this movie also has Gerard Butler, and it's by Guy Ritchie.
Oh, it's a Guy Ritchie.
Oh,
movie.
it's Guy Ritchie. Then it's definitely not going to be Highlander.
Yeah, no, it's not.
And I also think it's a period piece. I think it takes place.
That it's not Highlander, yeah.
Because they filmed it in like one of the like private casinos. And I saw that when they were cleaning out the new sets, they had all this 70s furniture that they had moved in.
Could it be Bond? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
He has the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, which is supposed to come out next year. And he's got another untitled action film that he wants. Yeah,
because there was new resurgence in Henry Cavill Bond rumors again.
And yeah, that one's got Henry Cavill, Alan Ritchson, in it. I don't see Gerard Butler in there, but Carrie Elwes is in it apparently.
You really want to give Andre a heart attack, don't you, Bob Barker?
Not my first choice.
Don't you even dare say he could possibly do it.
It would be an interesting alternate take.
Rob Zombie is a joke, man.
Yeah, I know.
He's a one-note joke.
It's the last.
He's got one good fucking movie in him, and that was it. Devil's Rejects, and all that was a weird, odd, somewhat sequel to.
I'd rather see him remake The Pig Keeper's Daughter or Stanley or something. Stanley, that snake dude.
Yeah, something like that. I would have a problem with.
That would be like a good movie for Rob Zombie to remake.
Oh, thank God he was joking. So, yeah. The price is wrong, bitch.
Well, of course he was joking. I never thought he meant it.
I would hope not. Rob Zombie shouldn't be directing anything but music videos. Because he's just going to stick his wife in everything. The world's worst actress. Oh my God. Anyway, I can't believe I actually said his Halloween wasn't that horrible. I take it all back. With that, let's wrap it up.
So, yeah, script. Where can people find you?
I got to repeat that.
We already did that already. I was going to say, Andre, do we have anything
yeah.
coming up besides Sunday night show that we should plug by chance?
Not in this moment, but you never know what might drop suddenly.
That happens. It does happen.
That happens more often than not. So with that, it is time for some koalas.
Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koala. Koalas in the rain.